Going digital has helped a lot with the human error. It helps with research. You just pull up your program on your computer, type in a bag number, and in a date range search, or you can do a date range search for just the customer and see all the activity that's happened in that date range. And it makes for quicker reconciliation with the customer.
Hello and welcome to the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US, a podcast in which we explore the mind-bending world of global supply chains, covering topics such as automation, innovation, unique identity, and more. I'm your co-host, Reid.
And I'm Liz.
And welcome to the show.
Reid and I talked to Robert Skitt today from Axiom. Axiom is an armored car company. They move around all kinds of different valuables, and the things we focused on today was cash. I think most of us take for granted the cash that's in our pockets or our purses, our wallets, and how it moves around the supply chain, whether it's from ourselves to the banks, to our retailers, to the Federal Reserve. And Robert really walked through that process today and how it's gone from a very manual process to a more digital process using GS1 standards. Robert, welcome to the show. We are so excited for our conversation. As we're just getting started, can you level set us with telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the work that you're doing today?
Thank you for having me. My name is Robert. I'm with Axiom Armored. We are an independent armored car company that has a footprint up and down the West Coast and Alaska. We work with financial institutions, ATMs, commercial customers. We do some white glove service with jewelry, precious metals, exhibition material, anything of value that needs transportation. For the most part, we have handled in some degree or fashion. We just don't have the national footprint that some of the big three carriers that you're going to see in most everywhere, but we make an impact and customers like us, and here I am.
Well, we're glad that you were able to spend some time with us today, and I think that you are the furthest west guest we've had so far.
And
no one
north.
from Hawaii yet.
And
north. So you're out of Anchorage, Alaska, which is a beautiful, beautiful city. For our audience here, we have an armored car company. So what are we going to really be talking about? And when I was coming into the conversation, I'm like, electronic payments. And you mentioned money, but you also mentioned jewelry and other things. What is it that the company actually does? Is it contracted by the bank to move money? Is it contracted by private clients to move money to the bank? Maybe if you can just level set us a little bit, because I know you're using GS1 standards in some capacity. We're going to get to that, but maybe just level set us a little bit about what the company actually does.
It's a combination of all of it. Some of it is financial institution driven, that they have a need for the transportation of the liability currency coin from a Federal Reserve Bank to their bank locations, to their ATMs, keeping their ATMs up and running, keeping that currency supply chain going. Then there's the commercial side of things where businesses are bringing in money for their services, but they want to get it back to the bank so they can get it into their accounts so they can continue doing their business. And armored car companies offer a reliable, secure, safer way to get that money from point A to point B. In a layman's term, we're like the post office. We are picking up here, delivering there. We just do it in an armored vehicle and get to carry a gun.
That's a great analogy for us. And I know, Liz, I'll let you jump in because, cash visibility is that real thing we're driving here.
Yeah. So the next question I have is around cash visibility and what that is. I think you already kind of started explaining it, but from the layperson's example, we have like cash in our wallets. And I think many of us take for granted what happens to that money as we spend it or as we put it in the bank. And if you could just tell us what you're doing with cash visibility and why it's important, and I guess that process, because I think we do really take it for granted. Like we spend the dollar and then we kind of don't think about what happens with it.
It's a very complex system out there when it comes to the dollar or your currency. It's got to come from a Federal Reserve Bank to get into your banking institution so it can be accessible into your account so you can go to an ATM and withdraw that cash so you can make payments. And cash visibility on that is being able to track that workflow of where that money is from start to finish in the logistical standpoint. We're not necessarily tracking where your dollar is once it reaches your wallet, but we're tracking from the source of the Federal Reserve Bank to the bank institution, to their ATM, anything that gets deposited into an ATM coming back to a central vault for processing, and then the money ending back up eventually into the Federal Reserve Bank. So look at it as Amazon Prime or UPS FedEx, where there's a barcode on the package, it's scanned to go out for delivery, and then they scan it when it arrives at the destination. You're collecting a signature. The visibility part, you can see that whole process all the way through now, from pickup to delivery, endpoint to endpoint.
And it's not the bill, but it's a bag. Is that
It's a bag.
right? Okay, it's not the individual bill, but it's a bag of bills. Do you know what bills are in that bag?
There is the ability to provide a detailed manifest with each bag of the contents. So we know what we're picking up, customer knows what they're receiving, and then they can actually verify to make sure, we were expecting $1,000, we counted out $1,000.
If I'm interpreting this correctly, it's $1,000 made up of hundreds, 20s, $5 bills as well.
Yes, you can break it down by that detailed manifest, breaks it down by denomination.
Wow, that's really cool. And Liz, I have zero cash in my wallet, and I haven't had cash in my wallet for a while now, but I have 3 teenagers. That's a whole other story.
I was going to say, if I have cash, it's short lived because of them.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly for lunch again. Okay, so I would like to understand, Robert, how did you come about to choose GS1 standards for this cash visibility tracking? And I loved the analogy of UPS and Prime, because you can go online and put in a code or an order number and then see it's out for delivery. It's still in the warehouse. So that's a great visual for me, that you're using the bags and the barcodes and it's being scanned in and scanned out and there's a tracking system. But how did you guys come about leveraging GS1 standards for this?
The Federal Reserve Bank system has been primarily a paper-driven process with delivering deposits to them on behalf of financial institutions or picking up outgoing currency to go to banks from the Federal Reserve. It was all done by paper. And the industry has been evolving over time, like the UPS FedEx, and with the track and trace of your package. The Federal Reserve was looking at what Europe was doing with their compliancy for visibility of the transportation. GS1 kind of came into play with that. And that was the standard that they adopted to use with their integration of their cash visibility eManifests program in the States here. I heard about it maybe 8 or so years ago. It was, hey, we like to try and get electronic, and everybody kind of scoffed and, oh, what voodoo are you talking there? And it just never really seemed to get any real traction. And about 2 years ago, the Fed was like, we really want to get this going. Do we have anybody that's willing to help us out with this? And I jumped at the chance for our company to volunteers to be a pilot, an early adopter with the system.
Yeah.
I'm not a real techie guy, but I like tech. So when it comes to our company, I want to know what's out there, what's trending, what's new, what's going to help improve our processes for the customer experience. That's going to make it a better workflow for our employees, better visibility of just the whole process. So I'm always looking at what we can integrate, add, adopt when it comes to technology. And It's like, let's give this a shot. This is something that they're going to go with. I'd rather be on the leading edge, help drive how it's going to work, how it's going to look, versus, hey, it's implemented. You have to
Do this.
now, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about how it's done. This is the way that everybody's doing it. So we got to have a little bit of a say of what the final product is looking like, help work out a lot of the kinks and bugs and issues. So now, as other carriers, other financial institutions are getting into the system, it's a lot easier, a lot nicer workflow, a more polished product for them after the piloting that we've been able to do.
So is this live now?
It is live. We are, as our company, we are in 5 Federal Reserve locations with the program for payouts and deposits for our financial institutions. We have almost all of our financial institutions enrolled in the GS1 platform for their locator number and their unique endpoint numbers for the Federal Reserve Bank for tracking. There are other carriers with their financial institutions and other Federal Reserve locations that are also coming on board and going live almost daily, weekly, monthly now. So it's gained a lot of traction over the last 2 years.
You talk about the implementation and people coming on board pretty much regularly. Is it hard to get them to move forward?
We had some very supportive financial institutions that were willing and wanting to jump in with both feet without really understanding how the process works, looks, and is how it's going to end as a final product. And they've had very positive experiences with the transparency of what's going on with their money. We've used their testimonial to help bring in some other financial institutions to participate. The Federal Reserve Bank has some great literature out there about the program. And as more and more people are getting involved, and the reserve is kind of like, they won't commit to a sunset date from going totally paperless, but they're implying that there will be a time that everybody's going to be electronic. So more and more people are adapting to that. And for us as a company, in the early phases of the adoption, we only had 1 or 2 financial institutions that were in the pilot program. So it was majority of everybody was still on paper. So that was real easy for us to do the bulk of the work as normal. And then it was just this little small step for the pilot program. Now it's kind of switched. Everybody's more electronic, and we're trying to get away from those onesie twosies that are still on paper just to have everybody processing the same. It's easier on us, it's easier on the Federal Reserve, and the visibility is there for everybody.
So, curiosity question for me, I'm just thinking of, logistics and UPS or, warehouses. In the armored vehicles, do you have a device that is scanning in and scanning out? Is it a handheld device that you're using? And are they using a similar one at the receiving end, or are they connected to a computer? Just something that's popped into my head.
In the armored vehicles, they do use a handheld device. That device varies from company to company.
Got it.
It has a scanning feature, either a laser or it's using a camera feature on the device to capture that barcode. That barcode is unique for that particular customer or location with that liability that's in that bag. So you really have at the starting endpoint a terminal with a handheld scanner that creates the bag with the information in there for the customer, gets transferred over to the route. They know where they're going. They arrive at location XYZ. They scan bag 1, 2, 3 for delivery to that customer, and you can see that process, who signed for it, when we were there, when we left, all the different details that are associated with that barcode. If they have something coming back, we're scanning that barcode. What we're receiving that associates that bag to that customer so it can go back to a vault for processing.
I love it because you're leveraging experience from other industries in their logistics and their best practices, and you're using it in your industry Although you say 8 years ago, I'm like, 8 years ago, that was 2017. We were still pretty technologically advanced then. 2 years ago is when you really started diving into this. I'm curious, what are the business impacts that you're all seeing? Whether it be on the operation side or safety, accuracy, costs. Are there any major benefits that jump out?
A lot more transparency, a lot more accuracy, visibility of really what's going on. When I started, it was all handwritten on a 3-part carbon copy receipt for what was delivered and what was received. Some people have great handwriting, some
Yeah.
people not much. So then it's like, okay, is that the
Is that an
actual
8 or a 3?
Exactly. So going digital has helped a lot with the human error. It helps with research instead of having to go through boxes of files or file cabinets to, okay, I think it was this date range. So I got to look through each individual piece of paper to find that customer with that particular bag. It was very time consuming. Now with it being digital, you just pull up your program on your computer, type in a bag number and in a date range search, and it will pull up that bag for you. Or you can do a date range search for just the customer and see all the activity that's happened in that date range. And it makes for quicker reconciliation with the customer. If there's, hey, we don't see this deposit being credited to our bank yet. What happened to this one? We can go back and go, hey, it actually was arrived at the CV on this date, signed by this person. Then they can go back to that CV. Let's find this bag. Hey, I got billed for 3 visits, but you guys only showed up once. We can go back and actually, hey, yeah, we did show up once. This one was marked as your store was closed. This one was marked as undeliverable for this reason. So it gives us a lot more greater view of what's actually happening out there.
And are you catching things that you maybe didn't catch before just because it was all paper based and there was so much manual reconciliation?
Yes. With the digital aspect of it now, less missed deliveries. When you service the location, it will tell you what all the bag numbers, all the coin that you're supposed to be delivering. So it's less likely to make a mistake. When we scan the bag for delivery, if it doesn't match, that bag doesn't match for this customer, it tells you.
So the customers are happier too.
Yes.
Seems like a win.
It's like anything else. It was new. People were used to how things were done, and this is change. This is voodoo, and it's just a fad. It's not gonna stick.
Yeah.
People can't fly. You're crazy. You can't get in a plane.
But after we've been doing it for this period of time now, people are like, yeah, I can't imagine doing it on paper. What was that like?
I think that's the best validation that in 2 years of an IT rollout of a new process, that's a short term. I mean, that is a really short term. And in 2 years to have folks say, I don't know how we did this before, that means you're having a lot of impact.
Yes.
Not a little bit.
And it is saving time at each location. It's not hours per location that we're saving, but 30 seconds, 2 minutes at each stop adds up over the course of the route. So on our aspect of that, that's us being out on the road for less period of time, which means we're not at risk as much for the liability that's out there for a truck getting into an accident. Payroll comes down a little bit. So it's a cost savings gradually over a period of time.
For those who haven't started the process yet, or they're hearing about it from this podcast or from the Federal Reserve, are there lessons that you would share with them as they're getting started on this?
It's not as hard as it sounds.
Love that.
When I started into this, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be this massive undertaking, a major lift. It's going to take hours of time, resources to just implement the onboarding, updating systems. And once I got into it, it's like, oh, that was actually pretty easy. I psyched myself out. Yeah, it's like the first time I cooked a brisket. I was scared to death of smoking a brisket. It's just like I can't ruin it. I like brisket. I
A
can't
lot
ruin it.
depending on that. Yeah.
And after the first cook, it's like I don't know what I was worried about. It's not as difficult as I had in my head. It's still a technique to get a good brisket, but in this aspect, people just need to be open-minded and working with GS1, working with your carrier or your financial institution. The first step is just logging in and purchasing that GS1 number for your company, and then you're off to the races. And in the grand scheme of things, it really is not that difficult. Don't psych yourself out like I did.
That's a great endorsement. It's just really purely authentic. Or Robert, we're wrapping up here, but Liz and I always have two questions that we ask everybody, and if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in first. So, I want you to just think of your personal life or professional life. It does not matter which one, but we're interested in what is your favorite technology that you're using today?
Oh man, I'm really trying to embrace AI right now. Trying to learn how that I can apply that in work and even personal life to and help improve some stuff. Not quite ready for Skynet yet, but I'm older in generational speaking, so my grandson can probably work around AI a lot better than I can, and it's just a gift that generation has over what I have. So I have to work at it a little bit more than the younger generations do. But I like technology.
It's funny you say that because my kids are turning 16 in 2 weeks. And so we need a third car. And I have a couple in mind. And so I was doing some searching last night. My daughter comes down and she starts telling me what to put in the prompt for Copilot. And it spit out the most amazing comparison of these three cars that I'm looking at. I'm like, it would have taken me hours to put, I was going to put a spreadsheet together and do the comparisons. Nope. It was, yeah. So I hear you, Robert. Like that kind of just education from our families can help.
No lie, my grandmother grew up on a farm in Illinois, and they had running water and they were proud of it. They didn't have a phone. They didn't have electricity. Then they got electricity. Then they got a phone. Then they got a TV. And she was well into her 60s when she went on her first plane. I feel like that's what AI is for us. Right?
Yes.
Like it's this fundamental shift. Like it's funny. I had a family member go overseas for a month and they called every day. And I'm like, man, it wasn't even that long ago. Like you would never make that call every day. You'd write a letter because it was too expensive.
Yep.
The world has changed. The world has changed.
I like having technology there and, close to being caught up on the iPhone version. Electronic gadgets, they're cool. I'm always looking at what can help improve our business in that aspect.
Efficiencies.
Always testing product out and seeing if it will actually integrate into what we're trying to do here. So now I just need cloning to happen, then I can actually have myself working while I'm taking it easy.
Yes, I like that. I love that. I've only thought about cloning my dog, but I never thought about cloning myself. Okay, anyway. Okay, so I have the last question. You kind of already answered it, but let's see if there's something else. So, do you have something new that you would like to learn about in the near future?
Definitely, it comes back to the AI part of it.
Yeah, it's broad.
I'm always looking at in the barbecue world. I'm a amateur barbecuist. I have my smoker at home, and I'm always looking to try new recipes, improve on what I've already done. I'm my own worst critic with my cooks. People are like, "Oh, this is great," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it could have been, a little better here, or it could have been." And they're like, "No, no, this is really good." I'm like, "Yeah, I get that, but still, So I like to be a sponge in that world, just to improve my techniques, improve flavor profiles,
That's awesome.
consistency with the cooks and whatnot.
And people benefit from it. You benefit from it because you
It
feel
feeds the
good.
soul.
They have
My
happy tummy.
coworkers love me in that regard, because anytime I'm smoking stuff for food, extras always end up here. That they're my test subjects for
A new
taste
recipe.
test
Love that.
for feedback. So they definitely appreciate it.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for spending the time with us. This was really helpful to understand cash visibility and how you're leveraging GS1 standards and logistics. And I'm grateful that the money is being tracked like this now, because handwriting is there's a lot of sixes that look like fives and vice versa.
Oh yes, it's definitely been a long time coming, long time to get traction on it, but it's
Seems like you have
happening.
really good traction now.
It's got great traction. It's really happening. Small banks, large banks, regional carriers, small carriers, large carriers, everybody is embracing it and moving forward with it. And it just gives, again, greater visibility over the entire cash logistic supply chain.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US. If you enjoyed today's show, you can subscribe to our feed or explore more great episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to share and follow us on social media. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.